Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. I'm Nur Zafira, the tax teacher. So for today's activity, we'll be having an online program through Google Meet, whereas the students' representative will gather some information with the help of Encik Audit and Encik Firdaus, the tax agents from IRBM. So this will help the students' representative will deliver the topics to their classmates. So before we get started, I would like to ask the students, does anyone of you know about tax audit?
Can I try?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so what I know, tax audit is like an examination of taxpayers' business record and financial affairs to ascertain the right amount of income that should be declared and that should be calculated and paid in accordance with tax law and regulation. But the main objective is to encourage voluntary compliance with the law and regulation and to ensure that a higher tax compliance rate under the SAS, which is self-assessment system. And what I know, we have two types of audit, which is desk audit and field audit. So desk audit is like audit that held at the IRBM's office, and it's concerned with straightforward issues or any tax adjustment that which is easily dealt with via the correspondence. And taxpayer may be called for an interview at the IRBM's office if the further information is required, and it usually involves checking all information on the income and expense as well as the various type of claim that can be made by the taxpayer. Meanwhile, for the field audit, the audit usually held at the taxpayer's premises, and it involves the examination of the taxpayer business record. However, for the sole proprietorship or partnership, it may involve the examination of non-business records such as the personal bank statement and more. And lastly, a taxpayer will be given notice prior to a field audit. So I think that's all that I know about audit, and I wonder so much how the tax process is. And can I ask the tax agent to explain about the audit process? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mr. Firdaus. That's very good questions. And based on your question, I will go to the very hard part in tax audit, which is audit process. As we know, audit process have 6 sequences start with audit venue, audit commencements, the visit, examinations of record, audit time frame, and will end with settlement of audit. So now we move to the first part in audit process, which is audit venue. A desk audit is carried out at the IRBM office, while a field audit is carried out at a taxpayer business premise. But when the business premise are not suitable, the taxpayer may suggest a suitable alternative for IRBM agreement. So we go into the second part. Audit commencement. The taxpayer who is selected for an audit will be notified by IRBM through a letter of notifications of audit. When the taxpayer receive the letter of notifications of audit, the period between the date of notifications of audit and the audit visit is 14 days. But however, with the agreement of the taxpayer, a shorter period of notification may be fixed by IRBM. But for your guys' information, the taxpayer can request for the audit visit to be deferred due to unavoidable circumstances and reasonable grounds, like flood or something happened to the taxpayer, so they can defer the date of visits to another date. And for confirming the audit visits, the taxpayer can contact the branch audit manager or branch director of IRBM. So we move to the next process, which is the visits. Whenever we talk about visits, for sure, an audit visit is only applicable to the field audit. And the audit normally start off with an interview, like what the purpose of interview. For sure is to enable the audit officer to meet the taxpayer, obtain an overview of the taxpayer business activity, and to discuss the audit. And also, the taxpayer will be asked and need explains his business activities, accounting, and record keeping system. So everyone get what I'm saying so far?
Yes.
Yes, good. So if nothing problem, we continue to the next process, examinations of record. The audit officer should be allowed to examine all business record and to inspect stock and equipment physically, like book of account for recording receipt, payment or income expenditure, invoice, voucher, receipt, and the others. But in certain circumstances, there may be a need to examine record other than business record, where it involves the audit of sole proprietorships and partnerships, something like statement of personal bank and record relating to the purchase of properties. Okay, next. When the workplace provided by the taxpayer is not suitable, the audit officer, with the consent of the taxpayer, may obtain record for examinations at the IRBM office. In such a case, the document will be returned to the taxpayer once the examination is done. Also, hard copies of such record should be made available for examination, but if the taxpayer unable to provide the hard copies, for examinations, the taxpayer need to assist the audit officer to access the computer system and copy the electronic records into tapes, disks, or etc. So we're going to the next process, audit time frame. The time required to complete an on-site examinations of record is 2 to 3 days. However, the audit time frame may be extended depending on the following factors. Some things like the size of business and the form in which records are kept, or the extent of cooperations for the taxpayer. And for sure, the audit time frame is applicable only to field audits. So that's all for me. So now I'm going to pass my presentations to our next auditor, which is Mr. Adib. So,
Hi, my name is Muhammad Adib. You guys can call me Mr. Adib. So the last process of audit process is settlement of audit. Now, after concluding the audit work, the audit officer will prepare an audit findings report for approval by the branch audit manager. The taxpayer is required to be present at the IRBM's office for discussion on the proposed tax adjustment. The taxpayer, without being called by the IRBM, may be present at the IRBM's office to give further information to expedite the settlement of the audit. The taxpayer will be informed of the audit findings, which will cover the following areas: audit issue raised, reason and rationale for raising the audit issue, the amount of proposed tax adjustment, if any, and the years of assessment involved. Next, if there tax adjustment to be made, a notification of detail of proposed and rationale for making such adjustment will be issued. The taxpayer need to state his view on the audit findings and the proposed tax adjustment. The taxpayer is allowed 18 days from the date of notification to file an official objection if he disagrees with the proposed tax adjustment by providing evidence. If no objection is made within 14 days from the date of notification of proposed tax adjustment, the taxpayer shall be deemed to have agreed to the proposed tax adjustment. Subsequently, a notice of additional assessment with appropriate penalty imposed under subsection 113 clause 2 or paragraph 44b clause 6 clause b or subsection 112 clause 3 of the ITA, or a notification of non-chargeability to tax will be issued. The time frame for settlement of tax audit should be 4 months from the commencement of the audit. IRBM will inform the taxpayer if the case need more than 3 months to settle. Now I will continue to explain the criteria for tax audit. There are 6 criteria, which is location, specific industries, contentious tax developments, third-party information, risk analysis, taxpayer, previous record of return. Right. First is location. Companies located in major cities such as Kuala Lumpur, Penang, Johor Bahru, Melaka will be selected for tax audit relatively higher than other cities. This is because the number of listed company and economic activities are well established there. Next, specific industry. Specialized industries such as property developer, contractor, medical practitioner, taxi operator, IT are selected for tax audit as this industry have dynamic development, vulnerable and have many unresolved and contentious issues. Next is contentious tax developments. The hotly debated contentious tax issues such as transfer pricing, withholding tax, interest restriction, reinvestment allowance and rental income may be prioritized for tax audit as judgmental interpretation are involved between taxpayer, IRB and the courts. Next, third-party information. IRB will embark on tax audit on another taxpayer if there is reasonable suspicion that such a taxpayer may have under-reporting business income or rental income upon examination on the revenue expenses as claimed by the other corresponding taxpayer. Next, risk analysis. IRB compiles statistics on industry average on turnover and gross profit of all industries with the help of information technology. This analysis would then be carried out to select companies that have wide discrepancies with this average. Last one is taxpayer previous record of return. Taxpayer who has the habit of late submission of return or non-submission of return would have a higher risk of being selected for tax audit. That's all for criteria.
Okay, thank you Encik Adi for the impactful information. And now I would like to highlight the rights and responsibilities of audit officer, tax agents and also taxpayer. As for the audit officer, every audit officer should be professional, well-mannered, trustworthy, honest and integrity. They should always ready to give explanation on the objective of the tax audit and the rights of responsibility of the taxpayer. They should knowledgeable and fair in administering tax law. Audit officer should not have any personal or financial interest in the business of a taxpayer being audited. They should not recommend to taxpayer that a certain tax agent be appointed as the tax agent for the audit case. They should not abuse his position or power in carrying out his duties as provided under Section 118 of the ITA. As for the taxpayer, every taxpayer should be cooperative, well-mannered, fair, honest, and integrity. Taxpayers should provide reasonable facilities and assistance to enable the audit officer to carry out his duties. They should cooperate in providing complete responses to all queries. However, the taxpayer should not give any form of gift or transacting any business with the audit officer. They should not make any form of payments to the audit officer. Lastly, they should not obstruct or hindering the audit officer in the exercise of his functions. Next, the tax agents. The tax agent should be professional, be fully conversant with tax laws and practices with integrity. They should be honest, trustworthy, transparent, and give fullest cooperation when dealing with the taxpayer and IRBM. They should refrain from using information acquired or abusing his position as a tax agent for his own personal advantage. However, they should not give wrong advice to taxpayer and collaborating with taxpayers to avoid paying the correct amount of tax. They should not delay the work of a tax audit or acting irresponsibly towards his entrusted duties. They should not offer any form of gift to the audit officers. That's all for the rights and responsibilities.
Thank you, Ms. Zafira. So before we end our meeting, I want to ask the student, what do you guys know about assessment and penalties?
Can I answer it? So as far as I know, tax audit has three main assessment and penalties, which are understatement of tax, provision of reasonable facilities and assistance, and keeping of records. So for the first one, for understatement of tax, if it is discovered after the commencement and audit that there has been an understatement or omission of income, a penalty will be imposed under subsection 113, clause 2 or paragraph 44B, clause 6, clause B of the ITA. So basically the penalty rate equal to the amount of tax undercharged 100% accordingly. And however, the Director of Inland Revenue, in exercising his discretionary powers, may consider a lower penalty of 45% to be imposed for the first offence. So for the provision of reasonable facilities and assistance, under Section 80 and 80 Clause 1A, the taxpayer is obliged to provide reasonable facilities and assistance to the IRBM personnel when they are carrying out the field audit in the premises of taxpayers. So upon conviction, the offenders may be liable to a fine of 1,000 ringgit to 10,000 ringgit or imprisonment for up to 1 year or both. So lastly, for keeping of records, under Section 82 Clause 1 Clause A, every taxpayer carrying on a business shall keep retained in safe custody sufficient records for as long as 7 years from the end of the year to which the business income of adjusted loss relates to. So upon conviction, the offender shall be liable to a fine of 300 ringgit to 10,000 ringgit or imprisonment for up to 1 year or both. So basically, that's all I know.
Okay, thank you so much, Sophie. So our program has finally come to an end. I would like to thank Encik Adib and Encik Firdaus for sparing their time and in helping us with the topic tax audit. So we hope it will enhance the students' knowledge in tax audit topic. Thank you everyone for your cooperation.
Thank you,
Thank
Encik
you.
Adik. Thank you, Encik
Thank
Firdaus.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, teacher.